Yeah.
Coffee machine. It's kind of it's
Could you hear it through here?
Yeah.
automatic cleaning.
Fortunately, it came in as you finished.
Yes, in certain circumstances. There are cases where it's good and it's necessary because everyone can still get content, but then there's cases where people don't want to watch adverts and are willing to pay for the benefit of not watching adverts. I think there are certain cases, there are a lot more limited cases where you shouldn't put out an ad version, because sometimes people are, depending on your content and your targeted user base, they want premium content and they know that the content they want is premium. And if you try and release an ad-supported version, they're going to think that there's something happening and their content may be slightly less targeted towards the people who are paying for it. So I wouldn't say it's a completely horrible thing to still introduce that, but there are cases where you can make what I would deem a good business decision, that going, no, we know who we want, we know the people that we want, and we know that the people we want are going to pay for the service, so let's just keep it that way, and then we run it that way. Hooligan has made the active decision that we are focusing on OTT and VOD platforms. That's what we're upskilling, that's what we're making sure every time we bring people in, we make sure that that is the kind of work that they are wanting to work on, so that there's never a problem of when am I going to do something that isn't streaming as a developer. So we're always making sure that every decision that we make as a company is directed to getting us as the top tier company to put forward VOD and OTT streaming. We as Hooligan Development bring just a very directed sense of focus and expertise to the project that we want to work with and work on. Because we have gone through the process and we have made the decision that what we want to really bring out and bring up in all of the platforms is that we want to focus on OTT, then that gives us that niche of, because we're not trying to be broad scoped, we're going directed, which means that all the research that we're doing, all of the upskilling that we're doing is very specific in the OTT and VOD space. And with that, there are almost all of the ones that we've worked with, all the ones that I've worked with, they are always have an ad-supported version, and there has been lots of work moving forwards within the ad-supported versions. That means that everyone of our team that has worked on those projects has had experience working on ad-supported and even implementing new ad-supported versions for those projects. Because, as I said, we've all worked in the space before, we can go in and we can say, I see what you're doing there, but we've worked on this, and with experience, we've changed X to Y, and that has brought forward some change and some betterment and things like that. So that would be for a pre-established company. For a new startup, we can go in and we can actually have a proper meeting with them and going, and that's where we would do our little bit of research with the company and go, what are you looking for? Who are you trying to target? What is the brand you're trying to build? And we can bring that kind of experience into there, where we can then actually give our recommendations, again, without bulldozing, but we can go there saying, we've been here, we've done this, and this is what has been shown to work very nicely. There's some work that we've done where, rather than having what's called mid-rolls and pre-rolls, which is just adverts that go in before you watch your content, being some companies that have had live channels that are 24 hours on, and then there are stitched in adverts that just overlay the adverts that come through from the channel, so that in that sense that they're able to get targeted advertising, even though they're not controlling the stream. So they would have a 24-hour sports channel that's constantly running, and whenever the channel goes to an ad break, we'll get that information that they're going to an ad break, and we'll cut the feed of the channel and put in our own stitch advertising that is targeted and done in the same way that we use people's advertising data. And so we can, even in non-VOD settings, we are also able to get the same level of most effective advertising in larger streaming and live channels. So to make sure that the users aren't overwhelmed too much, that comes down to more a strategy. We can make gain based on your clientele and stuff, and probably the type of content that you're doing. Like if you're doing very frequently watched content, you may want to show more or fewer ads than if you're doing some slightly more niche content. So it's not something that I could say there is a golden rule strategy, because you'd have to have very good monitoring of what changes are happening in viewing habits based on what changes you've made to the advertising structure. So if you see that, oh, we've introduced more ads and now we may still have more ads in this platform, but the viewership is halved, so we're actually just not even getting as much money for that. That would be then, based on your monitoring, you can then go and change your business decisions. Introduce like a middle ground, and then you can even do like A/B case studies. So on some platforms, some content you increase a little bit, some content you lower, and you see what forms the best average of adverts being seen. Have mentioned is the one that I have already mentioned, which is the stitching into live channels. So that doesn't go necessarily to VOD, but I mean it is ad-supported streaming. So that would probably be the most interesting one that I've seen, which not everyone has put out there yet. It's not brand new, but when I did it a year and a half ago, it was new, for me at least. So that would probably be one of the more interesting ones, because I mean adverts are adverts, so there's very little you can do with them, but it's a better way of being smarter about which adverts you show. So what happens is the system will get the stream from whoever is sending the stream, and within the code that is pre-processed a decent amount of time before it actually shows on screen, we get the notification that coming up there's going to be an ad break, and it's going to take place from this time for 37 seconds, and then we'll go and find a cluster of adverts that can fill as close to 37 seconds, and we put those in. When the streams go out, we make sure that we know that the markers are in the right place, but the putting of the adverts onto the stream is all done dynamically and automatically, so it's not a manual process. There's a natural state of us always being up to date, because that is all we do. So we're always with the clients that are trying to push the boundaries, and we're assisting them trying to push the boundaries of what they can do. But I mean, apart from that natural progression, we are constantly upskilling our people. We have regular knowledge sharing showcases.